Hello boys and girls, welcome to this presentation. In this video, we're going to complete the questions of Unit 1 revision. Question 20. Work out the reciprocals of these numbers. Give your answers in standard form. Now, as you can see here, these numbers, A, B, C, D, we're going to find the reciprocals of these numbers in standard form. Now, let's do it together. As we remember, that reciprocals means what? It means the upside down of a fraction. So if you have a number like this, 5, you'll say that it's over 1, and then you make it upside down. It's going to be 1 over 5. So finding the reciprocals of numbers is very easy. You just put 1 on the bottom or the denominator and then flip them. Or if they are already a fraction, you just flip them and make them upside down. Now, let's take a look on this one and how to answer it. Let's remove this. Maybe we can use the space. Okay, good. Now, for this one here, 2 times 9 to the power, 10 to the power of 9. So what do? We say that this number is over 1. Okay, let's put it here. We need space, yes. And then we make them upside down. So it's going to be 1 over what? 10 times 2 times 10 to the power of 9. So this is the reciprocal of this number. Now, the question wants the reciprocal in what? In standard form. So we just use the calculator to do this. We put this number, the whole number here, we put it in the calculator and we will get the answer. Now, okay, you can put it in the calculator to give you the answer, or you can answer it in another way. Now, the other way says what? Because this is multiplied, you can say that it's half multiplied by 1 over 10 power of 9. If you need the steps. Half multiplied by 1 over 10 power of 9. Half means what? It means 0.5. So we will write 0.5 multiplied by what? And then this one means what? The 1 over fraction, it means negative power. So it's going to be a negative power of 9. So it's going to be 10 to power 9 negative, like this. Is that standard form? Very good, it's not. We're going to make it standard form by moving the decimal point and turning it into standard form. To move the decimal point, we're going to move it this way. So it's going to be 5. And then because we moved to the negative side, we're going to put negative 1 next to the power. So it's going to be 9, negative 1, like this. And negative 9, negative 1 equals negative 10. So times 10 to the power of negative 10. Let me write it like this. And this is the answer for the reciprocal or the standard form of a reciprocal number. Now, these steps are a little bit long. So if they ask you for the steps of moving or turning a number into a reciprocal and writing the answer into a standard form, you can do it in both ways. You can do it with a calculator by putting the whole thing here in the calculator after finding the reciprocal, and it will give you this directly. Or you can follow these steps that I did and turn it into a reciprocal in a standard form. Now we're going to do the other questions using the calculator, in which we don't need to follow the steps, but at least you understand the steps of turning them into reciprocals and then finding the standard form. Now let's move on and check question B. Here we go to question B. Let me remove this first. It's not in the way, it's okay. So question B, same idea. I'm going to put 1 here. So it's going to be 8 multiplied by 10 power of 7 over 1. And then I'm going to find the reciprocal by putting it upside down. It's going to be 1 over 8 multiplied by 10 to the power of 7. I can follow the same steps on top to show you how I turned them, okay? Or I can write them in the calculator and they will give me the same answer. in which I write 1 over 8 multiplied by 10 power of 7, and it will give me the answer. Now, let me follow the same steps on top, same idea. I'm going to say it's 1 over 8 multiplied by what? By 1 over 10 power of 7. Very good. And then it's obvious we can do it, 1 over 8 and then 1 over 10 power of 7. And then 1 over 8, I can use the calculator to find it. So 1 divide 8 equals what? 0.125. So it's going to be 0.125 multiplied. And this one, when I take it up, it's going to be 10 power of negative 7 because one fraction or 1 divided by means a negative power. So I'm going to write it as 10 power of negative 7. Now, I will go like this. Now, this one is not in standard form. I'm going to make it as a standard form. So I'm going to move the decimal point I'm going to move the decimal point this way here. So it's going to be 1.25. And then check how many times I moved it and which way. I moved it one time and to the negative side. So I'm going to put negative 1 next to the negative 7. So it's going to be what? When you add them together, they're going to be negative 8. So I multiply by 10 to the power of negative 8. Very good. Or I can use the calculator from the beginning to find the answer without following these steps. It's up to you. Now, this is the final answer here, in which it's in standard form, okay? Same idea to answer C and D. Now, I'm going to erase question B so I can find space for question C. I hope you understood the idea here. Let me first do this, yes. I hope you understood the idea of these steps. Now, I'm going to do the same with question C. Let me erase first and then we will answer it, okay? I'll follow the same steps and show you how to answer it, okay? In question C, I have 4 multiplied by 10 power of negative 5. Same idea. I'm going to say it's over 1, and then I'm going to find the reciprocal by putting 1 on top, and 4 times 10 power of negative 5 in the bottom, okay? And then same idea here. I'm going to say this means what? 1 over 4 multiplied by 1 over 10 power of negative 5. Same idea, 1 over 4 equals what? Very good. It equals 0.25 or 25. 0.25. Good. Now, 0.25 multiplied by what? This one means what? Very good. So the same idea, I'm going to say that 1 over something or 1 divided by means a negative power. So I'm going to change the power and put the same base number with the power. So it's going to be what? And this one, as we said, 1 over something means a negative power, and we already have a negative power. And negative multiplied by a negative is positive, so it's going to be 10 power of 5. Now, as you can see here, is that in standard form? Very good, it's not in standard form. So I'm going to change it to standard form by moving the decimal point here. And because I moved to the negative side, I'm going to put negative 1 here because I moved one time. So it's going to be negative 1 here. So it's going to be 2.5 here multiplied by 10 with a power of 4 because 5 minus 1 is 4. And this is the answer for question C. Finding the reciprocal of the standard number in standard form. Now, same idea, I'm going to answer D with the same idea. Let me erase question C, and then I'm going to answer question D. Question D, same idea. I'm going to put it on top of 1, and then I'm going to flip it. So it's going to be 1 over 1.6 multiplied by 10 with a negative power, negative 4. Same idea. I took the one on top and the other number in the bottom. So I got the reciprocal of the number. Now I'm going to turn it into standard form. As I said, you can write the whole thing in the calculator and it will give you the standard form. And as for the steps, I'm going to show you the steps one by one. As we said, we consider this 1 over 1.6. So it's going to be 1 over 1.6 multiplied by what? By this one, 1 over 10 power of negative 4. So 1 over 10 power of negative 4. Good. Now, we're going to simplify this more. 1 over 1.6 or 1 divide 1.6 equals 0.625 multiplied by this one. And as we said before, if you have 1 divided by a number, it means there's a negative power. And we already have a negative power, so negative times negative is positive. So it's going to be 10 power of 4. Very good. Now, after doing this, we check if this is in standard form or not. So 0.625 multiplied by 10 power of 4 is not a standard number. So we have to make it a standard number. How do we do this? By moving the decimal point to this side one time. So it's going to be what? Very good. 6.25. Now, I moved to the negative side. So how many times? One time. So I'm going to put negative 1 here. So it's going to be 4 negative 1 and the answer will be 3. So it's going to be 10 power of 3 multiplied by 10 power of 3. And this is the standard form of this question or the reciprocal of this number. And this is how you answer a question like this. I hope you understood the idea. Question 20 is a little bit tricky, but if you do it with a calculator, it will give you the answer directly. You don't have to do these steps. But sometimes in the questions, they will ask you for the steps, and you need to know every step in each question. Now, let's move on to question 21. In question 21, the number of app downloads in July 2008 was 1.0 times 10 power 7. There were 10 times as many in September 2008 and 10 times as many again in April 2009. So it means in July it's 1 times 10 power of 7, in September it's 1 times 10 power of 8, and in April it's 1 times 10 power of 9. So we can write this here as a fact here, July, September, April. So we write here July, September, April. July it's 1 times 10 to the power of 7, and then 10 times, it means you multiply it by a 10. It's going to be 1 times 10 power of 8 because we added another 10. And then the last one, April, it's 1 times 10 to the power of 9. And how do we know this? From the question itself, because they said it's 10 times. So 10 times, it means you multiply it by 10. And then 10 times again, you multiply it again by 10. So the first time we took the same number here, and then we multiplied by 10 to give me September, and then we multiplied by 10 to give me April. These are the points in the question. Now let's take a look at the rest of the question. In June 2014, there were 7.5 multiplied by 10 power of 10 app downloads. Now question A here says, how many downloads were there in April 2009? Now, we used these facts to find April in 2009. So we already know the answer. It's 1 times 10 power of 9. So the answer will be 1 times 10 power of 9. So I'll write it here, 1 times 10 power of 9. This is April. And then the question after it, what was the increase from July 2008 to June 2014? So from July 2008, which is this one, till June 2014, which is this one, and they want the increase. So we just have to subtract them from each other. So we will come here and write it, 7.5 10 power of 10. So 7 here, 0.5 times 10 power of 10 minus this number, which is the first one, 1 times 10 power of 7. Now you can use the calculator to answer this question. Put the whole numbers in calculators and they will give you the answer. Now they don't want the answer in standard, so they just want the difference between them. So we come here, we use the calculator to answer this, and then we write the answer here. Now let's write it together. 7.5 times 10 power of 10 minus 1 times 10 power of 7. Sorry. Minus 1 times 10 power 7. Then you close the brackets. So it's going to be 7.499 times 10 power of 10. So the answer is 7.499 times 10 to the power of 10. And this is the difference between these two downloads. Now, let's take a look at the question itself. I hope you understood the idea of subtracting because they want the difference between them. And you understood the idea of multiplying by 10 each time we change from a month to another. Now, let's move on to the next question. 22. The formula for working out the frequency of a wave in the electromagnetic spectrum is this one. It means this one is the frequency and this one is the speed. Here we have the wavelength. So the frequency equals the speed divided by the wavelength. Now, the question here says, where c is the speed, as we said, this is the speed, and this one is the wavelength, so speed divided the wavelength equals the frequency. Now, in the question, they gave us the speed, which is 3 multiplied by 10 power of 8 meters per second. Now, work out the frequency of this wavelength A and this wavelength. So the idea is we just take the speed and divide it by the wavelength. This is the idea. And then the answer must be in standard form to two significant figures. Now, let's start with A and answer it, and then we will do B, okay? Now, first, let's remove these, okay? So we're going to use this formula here. Let's answer A here, yes. So, as we said, we're going to use this formula. So, the frequency equals the speed, which is 3 multiplied by 10 power of 8 divided by the wavelength, and the wavelength is this one, 6.9 multiplied by 10 power of negative 7. 6.9 multiplied by 10 with a power of negative 7. Now, let's come here, okay? So to answer this question here, we just have to divide them on each other and make them in standard form. So we're going to divide the 3 over the 6.9 and write the answer. So 3 divide 6.9 equals 0.434. And then divide the 10 with the power and subtract it. So it's going to be 10 with the power of 8 minus 7. So it's going to be 8 minus 7, and minus means plus. So 8 plus 7 is 15. Very good. And then we have as we said, we need 3 significant figures. The question here, wait. Yes, it has to be 2 significant figures, so 2 numbers. So from the answer that we got here, from 3 divide 6.9, we will write 2 significant figures. So 2 significant figures means what? It means 0.43, and the other one is 4, and the 4 is small, so we don't need it, because it won't change the 3, because the answer of the division is 0.4347, and we want 2 significant figures, so 4 and 3, and because the 4 is small, so we don't need it anymore. Now, this answer here, is it in standard form? Very good, it's not. So we need to make it in standard form. So to make this in standard form, we need to move the decimal point 1 time here. So it's going to be what? Very good, it's going to be 4.3. And then because we moved it to the negative side, so we're going to put -1 here. So it's going to be 4.3, or 4 power of 3. Sorry. Let me write it here. 4.3 multiplied to 10 power of what? Very good, 14. And here we have the answer in standard form. And this is for question A. So we found the frequency for the red light that has a wavelength of 6.9 times 10 power of -7. And we're going to find the same thing for the blue light using the same formula here, okay? Now, let's do it together. As we said, the same formula, so it's going to be like this. Frequency equals the wavelength, the speed divided by the wavelength. So the speed is 3 times 10 power of 8, same thing. 3 times 10 power of 8. And then we divide it by the wavelength in the blue here. So it's 4.65 times 10 power of -7. 4.65 times 10 to the power of -7. The same idea we do here. We divide these ones alone and then write the answer for them here. So 3 divide 4.65 equals 0.645. So the answer is, let me write it here, 0.6451. Okay, multiplied by a 10 with a power, and because this one is division, so we subtract the powers, so we put minus between them here. So 8 minus -7 is going to be 8 plus 7, and 8 plus 7, same idea, 15. Very good. Now this answer here, we need to make it first rounded to 2 significant figures. And to round it to 2 significant figures, this is the first one and this is the second one. The 5 is big, so we add 1 to the 4. So it's going to be what? It's going to be 0.65. Very good. Multiplied by 10 power of 15. So the first step I did is round it to 2 significant figures. Now, is this in standard form? This answer here? No, it's not. So I need to make it in standard form. To make it in standard form, I'm going to move the point 1 time here, and I went to the negative side. It means what? I moved 1 time, so I'm going to put -1 here. So it's going to be 6.5 times 10 power of 14. And this is the answer for question B. So I found the frequency for both lights using the wavelength and using the formula of the question. And this is how you answer a question like this. Now let's move on to the next question. Question 23. The stadium that will host the 2020 Super Bowl seats 98,025 people. So it can take 98,025 people. The average price of a ticket is $120. So we have a number of seats and the ticket price is $120. Estimate the total money taken from ticket sales for the Super Bowl. Now, I want to estimate the money taken for the whole seats. So in estimating, I'm going to round. Basically, I'm going to use this number here, 120. Let me write it here so I can have space for the other question. Let me do it here. Wait. So I'm going to say here 120 multiplied by 98,025 people or seats. Now, this is multiplying. Because I'm multiplying, I want to know how much money they got. But they want me to estimate. So to estimate, I'm going to round the numbers and then multiply them. So when you round this to the first significant figure, the second one is 2. It's small, so it's going to be 100 here. So I don't add anything to the 1. And then I put multiply. The first significant figure is this one. And then this is the second one. The 8 is big, so I'm going to add 1 to the 9. It's going to be 10. And then I put zeros instead of these 4 numbers here. And then I just multiply them by each other. So 100 multiplied by 100,000 is going to be what? Very good. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 zeros. So I'm going to write the 7 zeros here and the 1. And this is how you answer a question like this. So I estimated the total money taken from ticket sales for the Super Bowl because I know the number of seats and I know the average price of this ticket. So estimating means tell me a number, not the exact number, but a number as close as possible to the exact number. Now let's move on to question 24. Question 24 here says workout. And we know that workout means use the calculator to answer these questions. Now, if they say workout showing and you have to show your work, it means that you have to do it step by step. That's why I'm going to explain it step by step, but you can answer it using the calculator. Put the whole thing in the calculator and it will give you the answer. But for me, I want to do it step by step so to let you know understand what happened here. In these questions, we use order of operation because we need to know that some operations are done before the others. For example, here we have a power, so we have to do it. So 3 power of 2 equals what? Very good. It's going to be 9. So I write 9 instead of it because 3 power of 2 means 3 times 3. Good. And on top here we have multiplication, which is done before addition and subtraction. So when you multiply 6 by 3 equals 18. So I write it instead of it like this. Now all of them, the ones on top and the ones on bottom, are addition and subtraction. And I have division between them. So I will finish what's on top and write it here. And then I'll finish the one on bottom and write it here, okay? Now, the one on top, I have 4 plus 18 equals what? Very good. It's 22. And then minus 4 equals what? Good job. It's 18 again. Now, and the one in the denominator is 9 minus 4 equals, very good, 5. And at the end, I will divide 18 by 5 here. So 9 minus 4 equals 5. So 18 divide 5 equals 3.6. So the final answer will be 3.6. Very good. So workout means give me the final answer. That's the idea of these questions. Now, let's take a look at question B. The same idea, you can put it in the calculator and it will give you the same answer. Now, after putting this in the calculator, it will give you the answer. But for me, I want to give you the steps so you will know what happened. Now, let's start first with these questions. Here we have a power. So 3 power of 3 is 27. So I remove it and write 27. Okay. And then 27, we add it with the 2 here because it's inside the bracket. So I finish the power and then do what's inside the bracket. And 27 plus 2 equals 29. This is done. And then we have 29 here multiplied by 25 here. And we multiply them, yes. And the answer will be what? 25 times 29 equals 725. 725. And then I take the 725 divided on 5. So 725 divided 5 equals 145. 145. And then I take the 145 and multiply it by 3 equals 435. So the idea here is order of operations. I just ordered them step by step. First, I did the power, and 3 power of 3 is 27, and then 27 plus 2 gave me 29, and then 29 multiplied by 25 gave me 725, and then I divided on 5, it gave me 145, and then I multiplied by 3, it gave me 435. Now, if you use the calculator, it will give you the same answer without any steps. Now, this is how you answer a question like this. Now, let's move on to question 25. Question 25 here, use rounding to one significant figure to estimate these questions. So we're going to round to one significant figure, and then we're going to multiply them. So let's do them together here. So we have 1,875. When you round this to one significant figure, it's going to be what? Very good. This is the first significant figure. This is the number. It's bigger than 5, so we're going to add 1 here. So it's going to be 2,000. Very good. And then multiplied by the first significant figure is 5, and the next one is 3. The 3 is small, and this is a decimal point. So because the 3 is small, we put the 5 without adding anything, and the rest are zeros. So we don't have to put them here in decimal points. Now we just multiply 2,000 by 5 equals what? Very good, equals 10,000. Now the next one, B, we're going to do the same idea for 285 rounded to one significant figure, which is the 2. The 8 is big, so we add 1 to the 2, it's going to be 300. Very good. And then multiplied by what? The first significant figure is this one, and the 1 is small, so we don't add anything to the 3, it's going to be 3 like this. And then divided, the first significant figure is 1, so the first significant figure is 1, yes, and the 1 is small, so we don't add anything to the 1, it's going to be 10. Very good. And then we finish this. 300 multiplied by 3 equals what? Very good, 900. And then 900 divided by 10. Here we have the 0 goes with a 0, and the answer will be 90. And this is how you answer a question like this. Now, you can put them in the calculator after this step, because the first step must be estimating, and then after this step you can put them in the calculator, they will give you the final answer. Now, this is the idea of estimating and rounding. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.